And next, I'm going to give you my Week 3 winners and losers, starting with Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. So Daniel Jones gets his first career start on the road in Tampa Bay, and he balls out. 23 for 36, 336 yards, a pair of passing touchdowns, and a pair of rushing touchdowns. And they come back and they beat the Buccaneers 32-31, 22 years old, number 6 pick out of Duke. And first I want to start by saying Giants fans that went to Twitter, they were at the draft booing the pick. They were mocking the pick. They were ridiculing GM Dave Gettleman. You owe him a big apology right about now. How you feeling about Daniel Jones? Because he looks like he is going to be the quarterback of the future. He's going to supplant Eli Manning and be a franchise quarterback. I love what I saw. This guy can throw the deep ball at an elite level potentially. He can also give the Giants a dynamic they never had under Eli Manning. He can get it on the ground. 2 rushing touchdowns, a 7-yard run on a design, not just a scramble, a designed QB keeper. And Giants fans, you should be very excited. And to me, what was most impressive about his debut was how he was handling that Buccaneers pressure. If you looked at it, the Bucs pressured Jones on 55.6% of his dropbacks. That's the highest rate of any QB in Week 3, according to Pro Football Focus. So they were after Jones, and he completed 73.7% of his passes when pressured and finished with 243 yards on 19 pressured drawbacks. You had design runs. Their receiving core is still without Golden Tate, so not a very robust receiving core. I think if the Giants, the way this year finishes out, if they're in that top 5 to 10, I think they should go after Alabama receiver Jerry Jeudy, because you already have Saquon Barkley, who's going to be out for 6 weeks with that high ankle sprain. But I'm telling you, Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, as people are calling him, he looks like he's the real deal, and it looks like the Giants found their quarterback for the future. And for my first loser, I'm going with the New Orleans Saints. I know what you're thinking, right? How could the Saints be a loser? They went up to Seattle, and they beat Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. Teams don't do that in September. The Seahawks are 15-0 under Pete Carroll, and the Saints, they go up there, and you probably thought it was going to be a bad day for the Seahawks. After Pete Carroll, he took an L before the game even started. His own player hits him in the face with a ball. He has to get stitches on his nose. Check this out. Play the clip.
A football hitting Pete Carroll in the face. It was friendly fire, too. It was one of the linebackers. There's before and after. Not that Pete had a great schnoz to begin with, but now he's got a scar on it, butterflied stitched up, and he's continuing to coach. But knowing Pete Carroll, he could care less about a flesh wound, more about what's going on the field. His team.
But give the New Orleans Saints all the credit in the world. Coming off that tough loss against the Rams, they go up to Seattle. They get that win. They get a special teams touchdown. They get a defensive touchdown. But I was paying close attention. How was Teddy Bridgewater going to play? Can the Saints, can they tread water under Bridgewater? And he was not very impressive. Went 19 of 27, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. But if you look at it, his average throw traveled only 3.3 yards in the air. And according to NFL Next Gen Stats, his average completion, only 1.8 yards. He completed just 1 pass over 20 yards, and that came on a Kamara dump-off that went 29 yards, and he was really the star of the game. Kamara, 25 touches, broke 12 tackles, and he accounted for 161 of the Saints' 265 yards from scrimmage. So give him all the credit in the world. He really carried this Saints offense, but I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to give this Saints team enough in Drew Brees' absence. And my next winner is Eagles fan Hakeem Laws. This man is a hero. He's catching babies out of burning buildings, and he did an interview with a local reporter after it, and he throws a jab at Eagles receiver Nelson Aguilar. Check this out. Play the clip.
At that point, that's when I started hearing the fire trucks coming down the street. They was like in the far off distance or whatever like that. Smoke started getting worse. Then I seen a guy hanging out the window, screaming that his kids was in there and things like that. So I ran to the back door, see if it was open, and it was. I ran upstairs, and I was breathing with smoke. I ran back downstairs. By that time, the ladder truck was pulling up, and ironically, then one of my old coworkers took the ladder off the truck, raised it up, and just pushing people down. My man just started throwing babies out the window. We was catching him. Unlike Aguilar and his mishaps, I like to put that in.
So Philly fan never changed. Philly fan loves their sports. There's never a wrong time to start talking Philadelphia sports, and he's talking about his Eagles when he's being interviewed about being a hero. And my favorite thing about this is Nelson Aguilar. He takes to Twitter to find this guy, and they're inviting him to the Eagles game. So I'm pretty sure he's going to go VIP style to the game. And I'm just saying right now, if Nelson Aguilar never drops another pass in the NFL, Hakeem Law, he needs to be the receivers coach for the Eagles. They need to seriously consider that if Nelson Aguilar never drops another pass for the Philadelphia Eagles. And my biggest loser of the weekend is, of course, Antonio Brown. That's an all caps, bold, Antonio Brown. You're my loser of the weekend. And the thing with Antonio Brown, it's all self-inflicted. Look, he goes to the Patriots. The Patriots don't even cut him. They allow him to play. He catches the touchdown pass from Tom Brady, and that was it for his Patriots career. He is gone from the NFL. He's now your favorite Central Michigan online college student. He's going back to college. He needs to go back somewhere. He needs to stay away from the NFL until he figures things out. I don't know if he has onset CTE or something, but there is something very wrong with Antonio Brown. Look, the fact the Patriots, they didn't even cut him after he was being investigated for some sexual assault violations. But what did he do? It's always self-inflicted with AB. He contacts his accusers. He's texting them nasty things. He's calling them broke. And Antonio Brown, what are you doing? He texts saying that he's done with the NFL. No, I have news for you, Antonio Brown. The NFL is done with you. Until you can get it together, until you can prove that you can stay out of harm's way. And I bet you're thinking right now, hey, Pittsburgh was not so bad after all, was it, right? So Antonio Brown, I don't know which team would take on Antonio Brown. Probably the Dallas Cowboys. I heard the Seattle Seahawks may be interested. Imagine what he could do for the Los Angeles Rams. But you got to weigh the pros and cons. The net benefits of Antonio Brown right now are not very strong. To me, you take on him. He's everything that's bad with the NFL. You can't have Antonio Brown in, and he just went on a firestorm. Because, look, if you bring on Antonio Brown, if it's going well, fine. But he's proven. Look what he did. He went on a Twitter spree, and look what he tweeted. He attacked Ben Roethlisberger. He attacked Robert Kraft. He went against everyone. It was meltdown mode for Antonio Brown, and you don't touch him with a 20-foot pole until further notice, until he has righted his wrongs, and I just don't know how he can do that. And, man, this guy left millions and millions and millions of dollars on the table because of his attitude. So, Antonio Brown, the NFL is done with you. We don't need you telling us that you're done with the NFL because the NFL is done with you as of right now. And my next winner, Pat Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the NFL. He's going to win MVP again. And to me, he has the real shot of being the Michael Jordan of the NFL. Yes, Tom Brady is the GOAT. He has accomplished the most with those Super Bowl wins, but he has the most talented arm that we've seen. If Sandy Koufax was the left arm of God, Patrick Mahomes could be the right arm of God. This arm is so powerful, and when you watch him play, if you look at him, he can make all the throws. Back foot, going to his left, going through his right. His dad was a major league player. To me, he plays the quarterback position like a shortstop. He can make throws from all over the field, and Patrick Mahomes is on pace to have a better year than he had last year. Last year, 5,097 yards. This year, 1,195 yards through 3 games. He's on pace for 6,373 yards. Last year, he totaled 50 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. This year, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he's on pace to hit 53 touchdowns. Might make a record at 55. 55, that's the all-time record set by Peyton Manning. And I think last year, if you look at him, he completed 66% of his passes, averaged 8.8 yards per pass attempt. He had a passer rating of 113.8. This year, Mahomes, 71.9% completion rate. He's averaging 10.5 yards per pass. and he has a passer rating of 134.9. He's beasting. Pat Mahomes, his arm talent is something we've never seen in this league. He's only 20 games into his career, and this is his league. The NFL is going to be Pat Mahomes' league, barring injury. You got to love what you see about Pat Mahomes. I used to say Aaron Rodgers, he was the best arm talent I've ever seen. I've watched hours and hours of Pat Mahomes now. That arm is just so big and so accurate that you can't help but not go with Pat Mahomes. He's surpassed Aaron Rodgers. He's surpassed Tom Brady. Anyone in his sights, it's really a battle for who's number 2 right now. So Pat Mahomes, this guy is absolutely ridiculous in Kansas City. And last for my losers, I'm going with a trio of starting quarterbacks that had their first start for their new teams, starting with Josh Rosen. So Josh Rosen, he showed flashes out there. He goes 18 of 39, 200 yards. He had tons of drops out there. Really, he could have had probably 300 yards passing if it weren't for drop balls. But I'm calling him a loser because you're a loser if you have to play behind this Miami Dolphin dreaded offensive line. This offensive line, they got pressured by the Cowboys 42.9% of snaps, and they hit Josh Rosen 11 times in the game. So his coach says he likes how he plays with a chip on his shoulder. By the end of the season, Josh might not have any shoulders or legs or body because that offensive line is absolutely atrocious. And then Luke Falk for the New York Jets. Luke Falk went 12 of 22 for 98 yards. Pedestrian numbers, to say the least. He was bad. And then Mason Rudolph. So Mason Rudolph, he had some nice plays. He had a 76-yard catch and touchdown by Juju Smith. He had that touchdown to Deontay Johnson. But he ended up going 14 of 27, 2 touchdowns and interception, a QB rating of 81.4. He did not look very accurate, not very impressive in his first start. So I got those my losers. Those quarterbacks, they need to get it together quick if they want to have any success this year.